When I was young, my parents didn't exclude us from the fast because we were younger than 14, even though the Catholic Church allowed it. Instead, they insisted that our fast was simple bread and water, no butter, no flavors in the water, just simple. Now, I actually find it easier as an adult to do a water fast on Fridays because I'm not reaching for food, and so I won't forget that I'm supposed to abstain from meat. Now, I don't know whether that's a cop-out, but in the process of doing that once a week water fast during Lent, I allow my body to do some cleansing, and it motivates me to focus on things eternal since I'm not cooking or eating. Many religions and cultures incorporate fasting into their daily cycles or weekly cycles or annual cycles. Buddhists and Hindi fast during retreats for cleansing and purification. Some of them fast once per week or abstain, basically from anything other than fruits and vegetables. Muslims fast for an entire lunar month from more than just food. Their strict fast is from sun up to sundown, which could be 11 to 12 hours at some times of the year. Catholics fast on key days and abstain from meat on Fridays during Lent. St. Augustine defined a fast as light breakfast, a full meal, and one half meal. That doesn't seem to be too hard. So doesn't it make sense that fasting would be a part of our Christian life, food fasting in particular? Yet it seems that in recent times we shrink from the idea. God forbid I go without a meal. We've gone from 3 square meals to 6 small meals to grazing all day. The medical community warns, do not fast without medical supervision. And I wonder then, why aren't there more medically supervised fasts given our penchant for eating? Are we afraid of fasting? If so, why? There is a plethora of evidence on the positive effects of fasting for medical reasons. Studies and evidence show water fasting has been known to reverse type 2 diabetes, lower blood pressure, increase brain activity, and even increase the effectiveness of chemotherapy on killing cancer cells. Merriam-Webster defines fasting as either abstaining from food or eating sparingly, and dictionary.com adds for religious observance. Fasting can range from no food or water at all to St. Augustine's definition of a couple of light meals, or abstaining from non-food items like social media. Juice fasting, no solids, and social media fasts are definitely popular in today's culture. When fasting is done with a proper motivation and care, fasting can be an important spiritual as well as physical discipline. The Orthodox Christians consider the body and the soul united to the point of affecting one another. So if we are physically unhealthy, we're probably also spiritually unhealthy. When we fast for spiritual reasons, we follow the example of Jesus fasting in the desert for 40 days. This is why the Catholics do a 40-day fast of some sort of abstinence for the entire 40 days before Easter. When we fast, we can offer it in solidarity with those who have less. Well, we would do well to consider why and how we're fasting, and what are we doing instead of eating? And I'm specifically talking about food fasting today. There are 2 obvious examples of extreme fasting. Jesus, of course, is the one. 40 days in the desert, no food, no water. Maybe he found some cactus juice along the way. We don't really know. But that was a pretty strict fast. Mahatma Gandhi undertook 17 hunger strikes in his nonviolent protests during the Indian freedom movement. His longest fast lasted 21 days. He didn't quite make it as long as Jesus did. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should bite off a crazy food fasting goal for all of these days of Lent, but at least we could embrace what our Christianity asks of us and consciously decide to do something that feeds our souls while we're fasting from food in place of our normal eating rituals. And maybe even change it up from week to week. Many years ago, I was struck by the story of Jonah in the whale in a new way. So I decided to go on a 3-day water fast. That was the time that he was in the belly of the whale, approximately. It was a real mental struggle, but I survived it. And I truly was able that particular weekend to increase my focus on God through that fasting. In the Bible, we hear the story about people noticing that the disciples weren't fasting. And they asked Jesus why. And Jesus responded, "Can the wedding guest fast while the bridegroom is with them?" Well, is Jesus with us or is he not? I mean, we say Jesus, God, is ever present. Catholics don't fast on Sundays or feast days because in communion, Jesus is with them, body, blood, soul, and divinity, even if only for a moment of grace. But truly, we're all awaiting his second coming. During Lent, particularly as we remember his passion, we really can feel his absence in a palpable way. So if and when you do fast, do it with purpose. Await the coming of Jesus. Dispose yourself to God so that he can fill you with new spiritual food. And pray well. And be sure to check the comments to find today's song pick and leave a comment on the share so that Facebook knows people are watching. See you tomorrow.